Hello, boys and girls. My name is Miss Finney, and I'm a school counselor at Georgetown School. Today, our topic is on mindfulness. Here to introduce what mindfulness is, I have some characters here with me today. Can you say hello? I have Meg, Peg, Greg, Clegg, Shell, Shelly, Sheldon, Shelby, Egbert, Good Egg, Frank, and other Frank. Can you say hello? They're going to help me introduce mindfulness. Which egg do you think is our main character in our story for today? If you guessed this one, you're right. He's the good egg. So I know you're wondering, what is mindfulness? Well, mindfulness means paying full attention to something. When you're mindful, you're taking your time. Mindfulness is learning how to take care of yourself. The good egg in our story today is learning how to take care of himself. So put on your listening ears, and let's listen to the good egg.
And now, The Good Egg by Georgetown and Pete Oswald. Oh, hello. I was just rescuing this cat. Know why? Because I'm a good egg. A very good egg. It's true. I do all kinds of good things, like I'll carry your groceries. I'll water your plants. I'll change your tires. I'll paint your house. If you need any help whatsoever, I'm your egg. I've always been a good egg. It's been this way from the start, even in my earliest days, back at the store. There were a dozen of us, living together under one recycled roof. There was Meg, and Peg, and Greg, and Clegg, and Shell, and Shelly, and Sheldon, and Shelby, and Egbert, and Frank, and other Frank. The other 11 eggs weren't on their best behavior. They weren't exactly good. They ignored their bedtime. They ate only sugary cereal. They threw tantrums. They cried for no reason. They broke their stuff on purpose. Meanwhile, I tried to take charge. I tried to fix their bad behavior. I tried to keep the peace because I was a good egg. A very good egg. Nobody seemed to care, though. Every night I was exhausted. My head felt scrambled. Then, one faithful morning, I noticed some cracks in my shell. Yikes! They were everywhere. My doctor said it was from all the pressure I was putting on myself. The pressure of making sure everybody was as good as me. I was cracking up, literally. Something had to change. I'd had enough. I told Meg, and Peg, and Greg, and Clegg, and Shell, and Shelly, and Sheldon, and Shelby, and Egbert, and Frank, and other Frank that I was leaving. I can't be the only good egg in a bad carton, I said. Blah, 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 they replied. I left that night. I wandered from town to town. The hours became days. The days became weeks. I lost track of time. I was alone. Out there, on the road, under the stars, I really tried to focus on myself and what I needed. I took walks. I read books. I floated in the river. I wrote in my journal. I found simple moments to be quiet. I breathed in. I breathed out. I even started painting. For once, I found time for me. And guess what? Little by little, the cracks in my shell started to heal. My head no longer felt scrambled. I started to feel like myself again. So I've made a big decision. I'm returning to my old garden and my friends. Besides, I'm kind of lonely out here. This time, I know what I need to do. I'll try not to worry so much. I'll be good to my fellow eggs while also being good to myself. Here we go. Everybody missed me. I missed them too. Hello, Meg. Howdy, Peg. Hey, Greg. Greetings, Clegg. What's up, Shell? Aloha, Shelly. Heyo, Sheldon. Hi, Shelby. Good day, Egbert. What's happening, Frank? Howdy do, other Frank. Sure, every once in a while, somebody's still a little bit bad. But it's not like before. Here's what I realized. The other eggs aren't perfect, and I don't have to be either. I'm okay with that. Yep, the old carton is back together. We're a solid dozen again. It's good to be home.
I hope that you like that story. I'm glad that the good egg learned how to become mindful. Let's see. How do you think the egg was at the beginning, middle, and end of our story? Can you tell me what he was like at the beginning? Yes, that's right. He wanted to be perfect. It's not really important to have to feel like you have to be perfect all the time. What else do you remember? That's right. He wanted everyone to be good all the time, just like him. Sometimes we don't have to worry about controlling other people, just controlling ourselves. What else? That's right. He literally started to crack under the pressure of trying to control the other eggs. So we don't want to crack under pressure or with things that make us stressful. So that's why it's a good idea for us to learn what mindfulness is. In the middle of our story, he did begin to learn what mindfulness is. He learned how to focus on himself. Let's see, what do you remember him doing first to learn how to be mindful? That's right. He went on long walks. When we walk or exercise, we get a lot of oxygen flowing through our bodies. It can quiet our minds and our thoughts. Do you remember what else he did to become mindful? That's right, he read books. Sometimes when we read books, it helps us get our minds off of whatever is being stressful. And we can concentrate or focus on the words in our book. Do you remember anything else that made him mindful? That's right. He floated in the river. Well, that actually sounds like a lot of fun. And of course, when you're having fun, you're not thinking about anything stressful. What else? That's right. He wrote in his journal. Journaling is a good thing to do even if you're not stressful. It helps get things out of your head and onto the paper. And once you look on the paper and you're able to read what's really bothering you, that's when we're able to really process and grow. And yes, he learned how to paint. Having a hobby is good to do. It helps keep your mind stress-free. Can you think of any hobbies that you would like to do? And yes, one of the last and most important things that he learned how to do was breathe in and breathe out. There are several ways that we can learn how to breathe. You can learn how to breathe sitting up, standing, or even laying down in a comfortable position. But breathing is always good for our bodies when we're trying to learn how to be mindful. So let's see, what did he learn at the end of our story? How did he change? That's right. He learned that he can't control what others do. He can only control himself. What else? Yes, it's not important to be perfect all the time. Just do your best. Can you think of one last thing? Yes, he learned how to love himself. Once you learn how to love yourself, you can begin to learn others. Good job. Let's see what other kids have to say about being mindful.
Mindfulness helps you keep calm and relaxed when you're in times when you're angry or frustrated.
You learn from mindfulness so you can help yourself calm down.
The red zone is when you're like tense.
My heart starts to beat fast and then I scrunch up my fist and also my face.
Your blood might be swishing around like a big wave coming over the ocean.
You can walk away, tell the teacher, or pause, breathe and smile.
PBS.
PBS. PBS stands for pause, breathe and smile. Everything's moving the way it's supposed to be. Your heart's at a good rate. When you smile and just be happy.
It's where you're happy, you're never nervous, and you'll make friends.
You kind of just like smell and like feel what it's like, and then you just like look at it and then you eat it.
Mandarinders.
Mindfulness makes me a better friend and sister. Before I didn't notice if people were feeling sad or lonely, but after I learned mindfulness, I noticed and I wanted to help.
Sometimes my brain is like a snow globe when you shake it up. It's stormy and wild, and I can't see things properly. Mindfulness helps me to calm down so I can see all the different snowflakes and understand what's happening in my mind.
Sometimes I lie in bed and I can't get to sleep because I'm worried about not getting high scores on my test. Pause, breathe and smile make me feel a lot calmer, and it will just help me fall asleep.
There's lots of little neurons in your brain, and your heart is actually connected to your brain. When you feel happy, you have a happy heart. Mindfulness gives you that happy heart.
So I think those students did a good job of explaining what mindfulness is. What can you do to be mindful? So today I'm going to show you 3 object lessons to end our mindfulness story for today. So I'm going to close our box so our friends don't see what I'm about to do. It might hurt their feelings. So say goodbye to our group of friends from the story. What we can learn from mindfulness from our eggs is that we want to learn how to not crack under the pressure. We want to be able to bounce back like a ball. That's called resiliency. And when we learn what mindfulness is, it helps us to become more resilient so we don't have to feel like we're going to crack under pressure or something that makes us stressed. The next thing that I'm going to show you one of my favorite pictures in the story was when he went to the doctor. Sometimes we have to be aware of what's going on in our bodies and in our minds when something doesn't feel right. For him, he started getting those little cracks on his head to let him know that he was not feeling well and that he was probably feeling a little stressed. So my example for you is this is an example of you. You have clear thoughts. Your body's clear and focused, and you're feeling okay. But sometimes we have some problems. Sometimes those problems can be at school, or those problems can be at home. Can you give me an example of a problem or something that would make you feel stressed at school? That's right. If you have friends that you're not getting along with, or maybe you didn't do well on a test, that would be an example of some problems that you're having at school. What about at home? Yes, I hear lots of kids saying, I have problems with my brother and sister. They're getting on my nerves and they're stressing me out. So those are good examples of problems at home. So what do you think happens to your body when problems are coming to your body? So this is an example of your brother getting on your nerves, or not doing well on a test, or not getting well along with your friends. So we don't want our bodies to look like that. So that's why it's important for us to talk to people that we know and trust. So this is an example of who we know and trust. Can you give me an example of who you know and trust at home that you could talk to? Yes, that's right. Your mom, dad, grandparents, aunts, uncles, anybody that you trust. I even hear some brothers and sisters. It could be anyone that you trust at home. What about at school? Of course, you could talk to your teacher. Sometimes you can talk to your friends, but of course you can always talk to your handy-dandy counselor. So let's see. When we introduce talking about what's going on with us, sometimes just talking to someone can help clear up those problems for us so that you can get back to being clear and confident in your mind and in your body. And my last demonstration for today . This is what I use. If you can see it. It says Miss Finney's Mindfulness Tool Bag. Now I have lots of things in here that help me be mindful at home. Now these might not be the same things that you use, but all of our bags would probably look a little different. I have a squishy. This just helps me release tension from my hands, and I like to stretch these sometimes. Yes, I have a squishy. Another thing is I have crayons in my bag. Yes, crayons. I love to color. Even when I'm not stressed about anything, coloring actually relaxes me. It makes me feel a little bit better. And yes, this is something that you put over your eyes to sleep. Sleeping actually helps relax me. So sometimes I like to just take a nap. What else do I have in my bag? I also like to read. It's something about reading a book that relaxes me. I think it's maybe going into another world and not having to deal with what's being stressful in that moment. Sometimes just reading something that kind of gets your mind off of what's stressing you out helps when you read something. I also have, this is a loofah. This is for when I like to take bubble baths. Bubble baths always make me feel comfortable and relaxed. So this is probably one of my favorite things to do. Another thing I have is a jump rope. Yes, sometimes I like to exercise to relieve stress. Exercising is always good because it allows the oxygen to kind of flow through your body and your mind, and it actually energizes you and makes you feel better. It reduces those stress hormones. And I know it's not healthy for me, but sometimes I like to eat a piece of candy to help me relax. Now, not this one, because this would take me forever to eat, but sometimes just having a piece of candy gives me a little bit of energy and it makes me feel a little bit better. These other items are sort of like fidget spinners. This helps me relax if I'm in a place where I can't move around a lot, and I just like to do this with my hands. It's something about the way that the fidget spinner moves that makes me feel a little comfortable. If you've ever played with the Rubik's Cube before, this is something that gets your mind off of being stressed because you're focused on something else. For Rubik's Cubes, are always trying to get the colors to go into the right space, all on the one side. So playing with the Rubik's Cube is actually a good thing to use if you're trying to focus on something else and not feel stressed. Oh, I forgot about I like to give myself facials. I'll put this on my face and I'll rest for 20 minutes, and this has helped me feel better inside my body and my mind because I get to rest. And this is sort of like Play-Doh, if you've ever played with Play-Doh before. And I just really play with this between my hands, and it helps me kind of relax. And even you can do this while you're watching TV, or you can do this when your teacher is teaching, as long as you're not using it in the wrong way. When we have these little fidgets, they're to help us focus. And last but not least in my bag are bubbles. Now, bubbles are my favorite. I like to blow bubbles even when I'm not stressed. And bubbles help me learn how to breathe in and breathe out. So I hope that you learned something about mindfulness today. I want to know what you would put in your bag. What tools would you put in your bag for mindfulness? So if you've enjoyed our lesson today on mindfulness, maybe I'll see you next time. Goodbye, boys and girls.